At the turn of the 20th century, northern China was a place of pressure, fear, and humiliation. Foreign powers had carved out spheres of influence, missionaries had gained unusual legal and social protection, and ordinary villagers often felt that the world around them was being taken over by outsiders. Into this atmosphere came a movement known in English as the Boxers. Their name came from their practice of martial arts, which foreign observers called Chinese boxing. To their members, they were the society of righteous and harmonious fists. They believed they were defending China from foreign domination, Christian influence, and the collapse of the old order. What began as local violence in villages would soon become an international crisis involving armies from 8 nations, the Qing imperial court, and the future of China itself. The Boxer Rebellion did not appear out of nowhere. It grew from decades of foreign intrusion and Chinese defeat. After the First Sino-Japanese War, China's weakness became impossible to ignore. Japan's victory shocked the Qing dynasty and encouraged other powers to demand more influence, more trading rights, more territory, and more privileges. In northern China, villagers saw railways, telegraph lines, churches, and foreign officials as signs that outsiders were reshaping their country without consent. Missionaries were especially resented because they often had diplomatic backing, and Chinese Christians could sometimes receive protection in court disputes. To many non-Christian villagers, this made Christianity look less like a religion and more like a foreign legal weapon. Local tensions, old grudges, and imperial humiliation began feeding into one another. Natural disaster made the crisis worse. In 1898 and 1899, parts of North China suffered from flooding, drought, hunger, and economic distress. The Yellow River, long known for destructive floods, brought devastation, while drought ruined crops and intensified desperation. In a society where disaster was often interpreted through moral and cosmic order, people looked for causes. The Boxers blamed foreign influence and Christianity for disturbing the balance of the land. Railways cut through sacred sites, churches disrupted local community structures, and missionaries challenged traditional authority. Whether these claims were factual mattered less than how powerfully they explained suffering to people who felt abandoned. When hardship, resentment, and spiritual fear combined, the Boxers gained recruits and confidence. The Boxers were not simply a political party or a formal army. They were a loosely organized popular movement, rooted especially in Shandong and the North China Plain. Their rituals, martial exercises, and spiritual practices gave members a sense of unity and courage. Some believed that through discipline and supernatural protection, they could become immune to foreign bullets. This belief was not just fantasy, it was part of a wider worldview in which ritual power could protect the righteous against evil forces. Their slogan eventually became, "Support the Qing government and destroy the foreigners." That phrase reveals the movement's contradiction. They were anti-foreign revolutionaries, but not originally anti-dynastic rebels. They wanted the imperial government to join their fight. As the movement expanded, violence escalated. Boxers attacked symbols of foreign power, including railroads and telegraph lines, because these were visible reminders of outside control. They also attacked missionaries and Chinese Christians, who were seen as collaborators or protected outsiders within Chinese society. For Chinese Christian communities, the rebellion was terrifying. They were not foreign troops or imperial agents, many were local people who had converted for spiritual, social, or practical reasons. But in the heated atmosphere of 1899 and 1900, distinctions collapsed. Christian identity itself could become a death sentence. The conflict was therefore not only China versus foreign empire. It was also a brutal civil conflict inside Chinese communities, where neighbors could become enemies. The Qing court faced a dangerous choice. Some officials wanted to suppress the Boxers, fearing that their attacks would provoke foreign invasion. Others believed the movement could be used as a weapon against imperialist pressure. Empress Dowager Cixi was initially cautious, but as foreign demands increased and Boxer forces gathered near Beijing, the court shifted toward confrontation. On June 21, 1900, Cixi issued an imperial decree that functioned as a declaration of war against the foreign powers. Yet the Qing state was deeply divided. Prince Qing and other officials favored conciliation. Southern provincial leaders ignored orders to fight foreigners. Even high commanders gave conflicting accounts of their actions. The dynasty was not acting as one united machine. It was fractured, uncertain, and improvising under extreme pressure. The crisis reached its most dramatic point in Beijing. Diplomats, missionaries, foreign soldiers, and many Chinese Christians took refuge in the Legation quarter, the area where foreign diplomatic missions were located. Boxer fighters and Qing forces surrounded the district, beginning what became known as the Siege of the International Legations. For 55 days, those inside lived under constant fear, short supplies, and the possibility of massacre. Outside the walls, the Boxers believed they were part of a righteous struggle to cleanse China of foreign domination. Inside, defenders believed they were fighting for survival. The siege became a symbol for both sides, to foreigners, proof of Chinese barbarism, to many Chinese, proof of foreign entrenchment at the heart of their capital. Foreign powers responded with military force. The Eight-Nation Alliance included troops from the United States, Austria-Hungary, Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and Russia. Their goal was to relieve the legations, protect foreign nationals, and punish the Qing state. An early foreign expedition was turned back, showing that the crisis would not be resolved quickly. Then the alliance brought a much larger force, around 20,000 armed troops, into China. They stormed the Daga forts near Tianjin and fought their way toward Beijing. The intervention was not a neutral rescue mission. Each power had its own ambitions, rivalries, and interests in China. But for the moment, they shared one objective: break the siege and force China to submit. The fighting exposed the weakness of the Qing military system. Imperial troops and Boxer militias could resist in places, but they could not stop the coordinated advance of modern foreign armies. Tianjin fell, and on August 14, 1900, alliance forces entered Beijing and relieved the Legation quarter. The arrival of foreign troops ended the siege, but it did not end the suffering. The capital and surrounding areas were subjected to looting, plunder, and revenge violence. People suspected of being Boxers were summarily executed, often with little concern for evidence. The foreign powers claimed to be restoring order, but their conduct deepened Chinese humiliation and resentment. The punishment of Beijing showed how a rebellion against imperialism had invited an even more direct imperial presence. In 1901, the Boxer Protocol imposed severe terms on China. Officials who had supported the Boxers were to be punished or executed. Foreign troops were allowed to remain stationed in Beijing to protect the legations. Most damaging of all, China was forced to pay an indemnity of 450 million taels of silver, a sum greater than the Qing government's annual tax revenue. The payment was to stretch over 39 years, meaning the rebellion burdened not only the defeated court, but also future generations. The protocol was more than a peace agreement. It was a public demonstration that the Qing dynasty had lost control over its capital, its diplomacy, and its ability to protect China from foreign coercion. The legacy of the Boxer Rebellion is complicated because the movement itself was complicated. The Boxers were anti-imperialist, and their anger toward foreign domination was rooted in real pressures. China had been weakened, divided, and exploited by outside powers. At the same time, the Boxers directed much of their violence toward missionaries and Chinese Christians, turning social fear into deadly persecution. Their spiritual confidence and belief in invulnerability led many into battles they could not win. The Qing court's support for them was equally disastrous. By trying to use popular rage against foreign power, the dynasty triggered a military catastrophe and strengthened the very foreign influence it wanted to resist. The rebellion was both resistance and tragedy. For the Qing dynasty, the Boxer Rebellion accelerated a collapse already underway. The court survived the immediate crisis, but its credibility was badly damaged. It had failed to control popular violence, failed to defeat foreign armies, and failed to protect China from humiliating punishment. In response, the dynasty launched late Qing reforms, attempting to modernize government, military, education, and law. But reform could not erase the sense that the imperial system had lost the mandate of heaven. Within a decade, revolutionary pressure would grow into the Xinhai Revolution of 1911, ending more than 2,000 years of imperial rule. The Boxer Rebellion was not the single cause of that fall, but it was one of the clearest signs that the old order could no longer hold. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.